My name is Sena Singer. I'm a Senior Partner Solutions Architect at AWS. Today, I'm going to demonstrate how to build a generative AI-powered assistant to boost employee productivity in the energy sector. I'm going to be using Amazon Q Business to demonstrate building this application. Amazon Q Business is a generative AI-powered assistant that can answer questions, provide summaries, generate content, and securely complete tasks based on data and information in your enterprise systems. It empowers employees in the energy and utilities sector to be more creative, data-driven, efficient, prepared, and be more productive. It also connects to over 40 popular enterprise applications and document repositories. So let's have a quick look at the solutions architecture for the demo. First, users and groups information must be defined in the IAM identity center. And then I can ingest document, content, and permission information from data sources. Amazon Q Business supports up to 40 enterprise data sources. And once that is done, users can query and permissions filtered responses will come back to the user from Amazon Q application. Now let's go into the console and start the demo. First step is for me to go to IAM Identity Center and create users. I have already created 5 users, but you can easily do it by clicking on Add User. Next, I will go to the Amazon Q Business Console. And now I am in Amazon Q Business Console and I will create application. So I will give a name, demo, and then I will need to choose a method to authorize Amazon Q Business. So I will say create a new service role. I'm not going to use encryption. And for access management method, I will use IAM Identity Center, which is recommended, but you can also use AWS IAM Identity Provider. I will let everything else default and click Create. The next step will be to select a retriever once Create Application step is completed. Right. So we are in step 2. So I have the choice of using native retriever or using an existing retriever. If you use a Kendra retriever, you can use existing retriever. For purpose of the demo, I will use native retriever, which also supports Amazon S3 web crawler uploads as well as 40 plus enterprise data sources. And then I will next step, I will need provision index. I have two options, enterprise or starter. Starter is actually for proof of concept development testing for enterprise applications. I will use enterprise. And I will have to provision number of units. I will use it as leave it at 1. Each unit is 20,000 documents or 200 megabytes, whichever comes first. And I will click next. Now I go to step 3, which is connect to a data source. I want to connect to a web crawler as the data source. So I will click on web crawler and I will give a name. And here I need to give a source. What I have done is I'm going to go to the Wikipedia site for energy and gas sector, petroleum industry, Wikipedia page, and copy the URL and paste it here. And then I can use an authentication method as well, but because this is a public website, I do not need to use authentication. And web proxy, if you're crawling an internal intranet site, then you can use a web proxy, but it's not applicable for us here. And I will need to use in here, VPC. I do not need to use VPC because I'm not using VPC. But if if your data source was within a VPC, you can use that. And I had to create an IAM role here. So I will say create a new service role. Also, I will have to select a sync scope. I can sync domains only or sync domains with subdomains. I will let it default. And then can select a maximum file size, 50 megabytes. I will leave it at that. And there are additional parameters. Scroll depth, I will leave it at 2. From the top of the website, you can go up to 2 levels down to crawl. As well, the maximum links per page. How many links do you want the crawler to crawl? I will maybe say 3 or leave it at 3. Yeah. And then I can select the sync mode, whether I want to sync the full website when changes occur or only new modified or deleted content. I will leave it at full sync. And then how often should I sync, run schedule? So here you have hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. So I will say run on demand. And I will let everything else default and add data source. So once that is done, I will be in step 4, manage access. Okay, so the connect data source step is completed. Now I have to go to manage access. So I will say next, and I will click on add groups and users. Since I have already created users in the IDC Identity Center, I will select assign existing users and groups, and I will click next and get started. Now I have some users already defined, so I will pick a user John Doe, and assign that user. Now I have assigned that user John Doe, and now I can select a subscription for that user. So I got 2 options, either to use Business Lite or Business Pro. I will leave Business Pro for the demo. And then web experience setting, I will also need to create a new service role. So I will click on the button, create and use new service role, and say done. Right. So that step is done as well. So now I will go here and click on what we just created. And I will now need one more step. I will need to sync the data source. So I will click web crawler and click on sync now. And the syncing has just started. So if I click on web crawler, it will show it is crawling and indexing the website. All right, so it's going to take a little bit of time. So what I am going to show, I have already done this, and I'm going to show you what the experience looks like once the crawling and the indexing is done. So I go here and I have an application energy demo, which I have already created. And I can go here and select this deployed URL and the experience URL and click paste that on the browser. Okay, so Amazon Q Web Experience is loaded. Now I can start asking questions from Amazon Q Business. Okay, so the first question I'm going to ask is, what is upstream Yes. And what is upstream in oil and gas industry? So it gives me an answer. Upstream in the oil and gas industry refers to the exploration, development, and production of crude oil or natural gas. So if I go to the website and I click on upstream, you can see it got the answer from here. Now I can also ask, also I want to show you, it'll, if you go to sources, it'll tell you where exactly it got the source for this answer. Now I can ask, what is downstream? The downstream sector of the oil and gas industry refers to the refining of crude oil and the processing and purifying of natural gas. So again, it gives me sources where it got the answer from. And if I go to the website, I could look at downstream as well. Perfect. All right. So you can see how Amazon Q Business works once the crawl website crawling is done. So if I ask what is Ola, we'll see what happens. No answer is found. It works exactly the way Amazon Q Business is supposed to work. Basically, it will only use the data source, which is the website, to give answers. Outside of that, it will not give you an answer. But if you want, you can go to additional configuration parameters and you can say fall back. If the answer is not known, fall back to the LLM knowledge. But we're not going to go there, but we just want to leave it at that with the demo. And that ends the demo for today, and hope you enjoyed watching it. And thank you for